Hey again, I am back for round two this week. You'll notice that the first reading in the Roots series was from Isaiah chapter 11, verses 1 through 3. Isaiah is a great teller of the story, both a backward look and a forward look. And in Isaiah chapter 11, verses 1 through 3, we see him drawing the connections between the story of God, the story of Israel, and the story of Messiah, and then ahead to the story of Messiah's people. So the first two verses of that chapter and the very first line of chapter 3 read like this. Then a shoot will grow from the stump of Jesse, and a branch from his roots will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, a spirit of wisdom and understanding, a spirit of counsel and strength, a spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. His delight will be in the fear of the Lord. Now, there are several things that grab my attention in this as our first Advent text. And the first is that very first phrase, a shoot will grow from the stump of Jesse. The stump of Jesse. Well, that phrase presupposes within it the story of David, because Jesse was the father of King David. So Isaiah is looking back and pulling forward the story of Israel's monarchy. But the story of David presupposes the story of Israel. And so Isaiah is also reaching back for the story of Exodus and the making of a people. But the story of Israel presupposes the story of Abraham and his call to be a light to the Gentiles. And so Isaiah, when he talks about the stump of Jesse, reaches back for David, for Israel, for Abraham. And the story of Abraham presupposes the entirety of the first 11 chapters of Genesis. The good beginning, the terrible breaking of that good beginning, and God's relentless pursuit of setting things right. So when Isaiah says, a shoot will grow from the stump of Jesse, and a branch from his roots will bear fruit, he is presupposing the entire story up to that point. But then notice what he says, beginning in verse 2. All the verbs are in the future tense. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him. His delight will be in the fear of the Lord. So not only is Isaiah presupposing in this root of Jesse the entire previous story, he's also presupposing the story that is to come. And so we have right here in Isaiah 11 this beautiful bridge between the two parts of the story, with the root of Jesse at the crux, right in the center, giving meaning to the prior story and fulfillment to the prior story, and giving meaning and purpose to the rest of the story. And then when Isaiah describes this root of Jesse, there are three things that stand out to me about this description, because they are true of this root, this Messiah, this Jesus, and they are also true of Jesus' people. So they have an impact and a message for us as we move through this Advent season. And the first thing is Isaiah says, the Spirit of the Lord will rest on him. Notice, this is not something Messiah does. This is something that is done for the root of Jesse. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him. And again, we're hearing echoes here of the larger story, because the rest is an Exodus metaphor. Exodus 33:14, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. This is a picture of the presence of the God who saves and rescues. And this spirit will be a spirit of wisdom, of understanding, of counsel, of strength, of knowledge, and of the fear of the Lord. That's a whole package of the wisdom tradition of Israel. What does it mean to be wise in our story? It means to fear the Lord. Where is the source of true understanding and knowledge? It's in the story and in the relationship with the God of the story. But then at the beginning of verse 3, Isaiah says, his, that is the root of Jesse's, the Messiah, his delight will be in the fear of the Lord. Now we're talking about a choice that Messiah makes. The Spirit resting on him was something that was gifted to him. But delighting in the fear of the Lord is a choice that he makes. It's an interesting way of expressing it. In Hebrew, it literally means the fear of the Lord will be a sweet aroma for him. So he accepts the gift of the Spirit and he chooses to delight in the fear of the Lord. And then notice in these 3 verses, right here in the middle of an Old Testament prophet, we see the community of the triune God. It is the Spirit of the Lord, of Yahweh. And this Messiah, this root of Jesse, will delight in the fear of the Lord. Yahweh, the Spirit, the Messiah, Jesus, all together in this beautiful community, this beautiful company. And so people of the root of Jesse, people of the Messiah, Jesus people, are people on whom the Spirit of the Lord will rest, are people who will choose to delight in the fear of the Lord, and people who will willingly inhabit a Trinitarian-shaped community. And so as we enter Advent, the questions for reflection. Our first question goes back to the previous video. Keep reflecting on the story and allowing the Holy Spirit to show you, is this story, the story of God, the story of Jesus, the story of Israel, the story of the church, our story, is this the narrative that shapes how you understand reality? And if it's not, then what will you do to make some changes so that this story can shape you and shape your outlook and shape your understanding of the world? Second question, how will you invite the Holy Spirit to rest upon you during this Advent season? How will you make space for that to happen? How will you embrace and welcome the work and the presence of the Spirit with you? How will you delight in the fear of the Lord during this Advent season? Not cower, not dread, but delight in the fear of the Lord. How will obeying the Lord become this beautiful, sweet aroma that perfumes your life and fills your life with beauty? And then finally, how will you practice intentional community? Community that reflects the life of the Trinity, that beautiful dance, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, for the sake of the world. Story, the Spirit that wants to rest upon us, delighting in the fear of the Lord, and intentional community that reflects the life of the Trinity. Those are some things to be on the alert for as we move through this Advent season. God bless you.